All right, listen up, Spuds. This is Zach Brannigan, master of time, space, and everything else in between. And, oh yeah, winner of this year's Modesty Award. You're listening to You Suck with Al and Tom. Your one-stop for this sort of thing.
Hello, guys, and welcome to You Suck. You Suck. That's it. That's great to hear.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's different, but I keep getting ready for like the end of it. I've listened to that promo a couple times now because Alex like, check it out. I streamlined it. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's listen to it. And I'm like, what's the what's the difference? Just You Suck. All right, cool. You Suck. You Suck.
We're
Alex.
just You Suck because we took a break and we were like, okay, so we love doing what we're doing, but we want to make it more accessible to people. And we're like, so we've got like, You Suck, What's the Difference? You Suck the Weekly Bazaar, You Suck Chronicles back in the day, you got You Suck this, You Suck that. So we're like, let's just have You Suck. That's it. No, what's the difference? Yeah. It is us. So I've come up with a few taglines sort of like, be you and let's talk. And because it's important. It's important because we had an identity crisis. Like we created this thing. I created these stupid logos to separate the You Suck part of thing. But I was kind of like,
let's not downplay it. It wasn't stupid. It was you trying hard, man. That's a lot of work. It's not like you just sat there and it's not like, oh, I jerked off another fucking logo. You're like, dude, look, I spent like 4 hours building this last night. It's work, man.
But this is the thing. We tried to be something we're not, and that's the whole point of the You Suck thing. What is You Suck, right? It's a discussion between culture either side of the UK. So I mean, if you're on your worst day, you suck. Just be you. It doesn't really matter. Like I suck. You. Everybody is who they are. And
we all suck.
Everybody.
We all suck. Bathrooms, we suck. And
so we're getting only guests on that. Absolutely, I'm joking. It's great start.
Welcome, Pauly Shore. That was kind of dope. Actually, I'd be like, wow, we got Pauly Shore, huh? Man, we rock.
But it's been a long minute since we've done this, so it's nice to catch up. We are going to be speaking to Mike Perkins on this show today. Mike Perkins is a very talented artist from DC Comics, but he has an amazing history working with Marvel, Dredd, and we're going to talk about his career. But first of all, before we catch up, right?
Yeah, fucking, it's been almost 2 months. Like literally, I think we're like a few days away from it being 2 months. If not, it has been 2 months. We stopped right after Halloween. And what day did we stop? I don't remember anymore. It seemed like forever. That's the weird thing. Is like it's been about 2 months, and it seems like it's been a year almost. I'm like, wow, it's been so long, but it hasn't been so long. It just seems like a long time because we spent so many weeks upon weeks upon weeks doing it every single week. So it was weird. What'd you do with your time off?
I've been very, very busy. I kind of just dived headfirst into the biscuit stuff, which has been amazing, by the way. I've done so much. And I got the biscuit to a good place at the moment. And so now it's time to sort of put a bit of love into You Suck. But I think the less we do with this, the better, really, if that makes sense. Because we decided that we were just going to go very much back to basics. Just interviews, us talking to people. And Wednesday Night Live is gone. We're going to be bringing back Thorskin. Thorskin is going to be the new live show, and we thought this is the way to step back into being who we're going to be, and then we're going to have Moose Cooper, me, and David Raby, because you're working now. You're like, I've got responsibilities and shit. I can't do the live show.
I got a lot of work to do. I fucking worked a 12.5-hour shift yesterday. It was fucking good time. But it's good though. It's different. I don't work nights anymore. I work days. I take care of a fucking sports store. I oversee all the bullshit. I deal with personal bullshit. It's not bad though. Fortunately, the 3.5 years that we've been doing this really kind of prepared me for customer service. Like just talking with people and keeping a conversation going and kind of convincing them they want something they don't really want something. It's what I do to you every week. I'm like, you want this dick, Alex? And you're like, no, I really don't. I'm like, you want this dick, Alex? And you're like, I guess I want this dick, Tom. I'm like, yeah, you want this dick. But that's kind of what I do at work, except it's less dick. And I'm like, you want this sweater? And like, I don't want that sweater. I'm like, you want this sweater? And they're like, okay, I guess I want the sweater.
It's nice though. I mean, the improv side of things is one of the things I'm proud of most. Is because like we've brought on a few people where over the years that we've worked with where they've been like flip flops, and they struggle with.
It's weird, right? It's such a weird thing. I never thought about that. But like some of the people were like, "Wow, this person's gonna be amazing." Not they weren't amazing, but like because they all have great stories. But you're like, they're not us, and they don't like keep the flow going. They just kind of like answer in really quick blips, like it's a real interview, less of a conversation. But then some people we brought on are just like the best conversators ever, and we just let's press record and stop talking.
Yeah.
But
the conversations. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm being really rude. I'm getting a couple of pictures that I want to put up on here, but I'm sending them to Kaz so I can upload them.
What is she? I was about to say, what are you like setting her to screen? Be like, is this appropriate? Like, if I show my testicles from this angle, does it really look like a couple? Nah, it's all good. Fucking well, let me make sure there's no one behind me. I've been doing Elf on the Shelf this whole month with Shona. Nice. She started it, and I was like, yeah, you've been doing it. You good at it? What's your elf move?
I go very drastic. Kaz is like, oh my god, look, they're sitting in his shoes. I'm like, let's put one in the freezer. Like,
yeah, you and me, man. Fucking Shona does like really cute things, like, oh look, he TP'd like the chandelier and stuff. And I'm like, fuck that. This time he's cooking the Grinch. Fucking over an open fire. I had him like catch one of the other elves in a trap as if he was an imposter. Last night I had him in the melatonin, and he was like eating them like they're gumdrops, and it wrote a note that says, "Thank you for the delicious gumdrops," and has him passed out with a pen in his hand and shit like he got roofied. Dude.
I mean, like, it's the worst ones when you're about to go to bed. You're like, oh fuck, I haven't done the elf. Oh shit, what do I do? Oh my god! So that was me last night, and I was having a few drinks.
Yeah,
I was having a few drinks. So I watched The Many Saints in Newark, and I was after that. Have you seen that yet?
No. I read a lot of bad reviews about it. I was kind of disappointed in the fact that I heard so much bad shit about it.
There's a few like nice moments in it, but the rest of it's kind of like whatever.
Yeah, really is. Yeah. I guess it's all things that are like, oh, fucking Tony Soprano, yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh. Fucking Chris. Oh yeah. Oh,
I think they've set it up for like a series of movies. But then I was like, I want to go and watch Sopranos, and then I looked, and it wasn't even on Amazon. I was like, what the fuck?
No,
it's on HBO, Sky TV, which I don't have. But
yeah, that's right. Your Sky TV, my HBO Max.
Yeah.
Fucking. Speaking of stuff on HBO Max, fucking, you know what comes out this week, right? The Matrix. The Matrix. Fucking Quattro.
I mean, I don't think Hollywood are quite on the same sort of live in the same world as us, because they're like, yo, we're gonna give you Ghostbusters, and we're gonna give you Spider-Man, and we're gonna give you the Matrix, and we're gonna give us things. When are you gonna do it? Around Christmas. Oh right, so when I'm broke as fuck, yeah, cheers, thanks. Hollywood.
Well, like, I mean, like, I already spent, like, don't get me wrong, I hear you. That's part. I mean, I'm not like broke right this second. Like, don't get me wrong, Christmas really, like, we dropped that first Amazon cart was a fucking hefty load, dude. That was like a $500 drop, and I'm like, fuck you. But like, luckily, I already paid for the subscription to HBO Max, so. Like, not too much excites me. Like, you tell me about good shit all the time. I'm just like, yeah, I'll get to it eventually. But like certain things I'm really excited to see. Like, I can't wait to watch the Book of Fett. I'm waiting for that drop this week. Fucking, I can't wait for Matrix 4. I'm gonna watch that this week with Shona. I fucking loved Ghostbusters. Now you love Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is great, right?
I cried 3 times at that film. Pussy. I cried, honestly. I fought straight up, didn't care who saw me. Not quite ugly crying, but like, you know, when you're at the cinema, you're kind of like, I'm not crying, you are.
Fuck you, Timmy. You'd cry too if this meant to anything to you, heartless little bastard. You're just like, what?
Like, tears running down my eyes. We won't spoil it just yet, because I want it to be out on a streamer first before we sort of start.
But don't cross the streamers, though. You know that rule.
Don't cross the streamers. Unless you're fighting Zool, then you got
which look, what a dude. I mean, you watch, like, we don't have to spoil it, but you like watch the end credit scene, right?
Of course, yeah. I had to Google it though. I watched the first one and I was like, oh yeah, that's great. With Sigourney Weaver and
so good.
And I was like, is there another one? And I found out there was another one. I was like, what?
You've never seen Ghostbusters 2? Oh, there's 2 scenes? Oh, okay. There's 2 scenes. I didn't see the second scene. I just watched the first scene. My kids were acting up pretty good, and I was.
Oh,
I
in the
was ready to
cinema.
leave.
Okay, so the second scene is basically
Spoilers.
Go
ahead. You can tell me. Fuck everybody else.
Winston's rich. He's fucking
Oh,
rich.
yeah?
And he takes the car back. He's like, yeah, we're going to do some shit. And it's basically, they use original footage of Egon and they're talking about this lucky coin. And it has like serious history, this lucky coin. So basically, the Ghostbusters will return. Basically.
Nice.
Egon, he's gonna buy. I think he bought the fire station. There's this amazing scene of him driving the Ecto one over the bridge. You see it from a height, and you see the sirens going. And I was just like, "Oh my god!" But they used original footage of Egon. I was like, "Oh my god!" Like genuine, like stuff we haven't seen before. And I was like, "This is going to be amazing." So they're going to make.
I really liked everything. Like sometimes it's to poor effect, right? Like they put dead people in movies, and you're like, "Oh, that sucked." But that was great. Like, I'm not sure if it's just how much we kind of missed him and how underplayed he was as a character and stuff. But like everything about that movie was fucking tits. There was nothing about it that I was not like, oh, that was stupid. Everything about it was like, wow, that was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it was very good. The cast worked really well. What I loved about, obviously, we're not going to spoil it. Here we go. We're going into it.
Yeah, we're not going to spoil. Let's just talk about everything about it.
Egon's granddaughter, the girl in it. I loved how badass she was. She saw that gobbler, whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called, but the ghost in the warehouse. And she was like, oh my God, there's a ghost. She was like, fuck you.
She was very dumb. She was just all about it. Dude, it was so great. It was so fun. I love that opening scene, too. The opening scene is just so like dramatic, and that's also something that people do to poor effect. Like, I know I said that word twice in a row, but it's true. That happens a lot in cinemas. You'll see a character they don't want to show you, but they want to imply that it's this person, and the entire time, like, it's not that person. While you're watching that, even though it seemed kind of out of character, you're like, okay, well, if Egon had spent years obsessed about something and he was going crazy, this is probably who he would be at this point. And it was fucking dope. Like like all the fucking ghost catchers all over the yard, dude. Man, that was fucking awesome. Let's go watch the movie.
Nowhere near it. Nowhere near it. They kept it. They were like, okay, Melissa McCarthy, we're going to get. And what's that? What's the? Is it? Oh shit! The other woman that's in it. She's in everything and she's terrible.
Rebel Wilson.
No, not Rebel Wilson. She's terrible too. But she's
terrible. She looks horrible now.
The one that was in Despicable Me 3 and
Sandra Bullock.
Not Sandra Bullock.
No. Okay. Who's the other chick? Who's I know who you're talking about. Fucking what's her face? Ralph Garman's friends with her, right?
What's her name? Hold on. Here we go. Ghostbusters.
Go Ghostbusters. I've been playing a lot of video games on a side note.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Nothing really of like.
I haven't had an opportunity to even pick up I'm still playing Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, that's a great game. That's a fantastic game. I love that.
Kristen Wiig. That's the one I fucking.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
terrible.
Right.
She's just like
she's horrible. I wish she would die.
She always looks like she just smelled a fart. Like.
Was that you? Was that you that farted?
But I mean. There's probably films in there that are great. But anyway, Ghostbusters is great. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
You see the trailer for that movie that Sandra Bullock's doing with Channing Tatum?
Yeah, I was like, whoa, I thought he was dead. Is he still alive? What the fuck? It's been a while for a while. He's been away for a while.
on steroids? What the fuck? No, dude. Yeah, dude, that looked really good. Like, that's another one of those things. I was like, oh, romantic comedy. I can go see with the wife. And Sandra Bullock looks amazing.
She does, doesn't she? I mean,
dude, she hasn't aged.
She's like the Paul Rudd of the women side of acting, you know?
Dude, she's like 90 right now, and she's like, "Fuck yeah!" And I'm like, "Sure, whatever you say, Sandy Bullock. You're Miss Congeniality, bro." She was old in those movies, man. Like that was like what 2001?
She's in her 40s. She's got to be 40, yeah, 40 at least.
Dude, she's got to be older than 40. Look this up.
No, back then.
Oh, okay. I was like,
how old Miss Congeniality.
I'm looking this up really quick. You vamp us now. Let's see. Now I'm really interested in how old fucking Sandy Bullock.
Let's talk about our favorite Sandy B films. I quite like The Blind Side. I love The Blind Side. I think it's good. People always go like Miss Congeniality, but there's two. One is obviously Speed. I fucking love Speed as a film by itself, and The Blind Side is just brilliant. I love it.
I like The Blind Side. I like Practical Magic. That'd always be like one of my favorite Sandy Bullock films. Fucking fuck you. Fuck you. You're the wizard.
There's magic and stuff.
I'm fucking.
It's easily to track. Like you know when you get those traps, like the cardboard box on a stick, and you got like something underneath underneath the box to try and entice the person. You also just be any old shit with vampires or witches or anything. It could be anything.
Werewolves. Yeah, I get you. That's fine.
It's Kristen Wiig in a new vampire film. No, you're okay, thanks. I'm okay.
Yeah, no,
that didn't work.
The new Batman comes out. Anyways, hold on. She's 57 years old. I thought she was way older than that, but she's 57, man. She not that old. She's my mom's age though. She's like 10 years younger than my mom. Or something.
That's old. I mean, sorry, Mrs. Bruno. Sorry,
I bet you are, motherfucker.
She loves me. Your mom does anyway, so it's fine.
She does. She likes more of your stuff. She likes mine. So fucking, what's that tell you?
I'm a busy bee. That's why I'm constantly.
You are a busy bee. You're always doing stuff. You're always promoting like you and your family and how great you are. We get it, Alex. You're a great family. Fuck off.
I met a BAFTA award winner the other day.
Yeah, did you?
His name's Tony Reed. There he is. There I am with his BAFTA. Jesus. He's got one of 4 of his BAFTAs.
Are you holding his BAFTA right now? Is that what you're holding in your hands?
They're heavy, man. I thought I'm going to have to grab one of these BAFTAs and get
it looks huge.
When are you ever going to hold like an Oscar or a BAFTA? He won that for writing Go Jetters and stuff. You know, he's Go Jetters. You know,
get that. About the same Power Rangers again to me. I was like, I was thinking Power Rangers. I get it.
He did like Zingzillas. He was there from the beginning, from like the CBBS, the beginning of the CBBS era. So and his Mrs. Jane, there I'm with Jane. She's a puppeteer and a voice actress, and she did she just did stuff with the Furchester Hotel with Elmo and Cookie Monster, and she did stuff.
It never ceases to amaze me. Puppeteers, they're like, I want to shove my hand up things for the rest of my life.
I have my hand up a thing.
Speaking of which,
that's Twinkle.
Is that how you got the oldest BAFTA, by shoving your hand up that right there?
Yeah, that's it.
Deep.
That's it.
Look at that sweater he's got on.
She's amazing because I like to do my voice. I like to mess around with voices, and we did this interview. She's like, "You got real talent." And I was like, "No, you just say that." She's like, "No, seriously, you quite." So we keep sending voices back into. It's just this endless conversations, just stupid voices we're sending back into. It's quite cool. So I made new friends.
Eventually, I see that. Eventually, you're going to be a fucking, voice actor guy. You make all the right connections, Alex. It never ceases to amaze me. And don't get me wrong, like, let's not downplay the work that goes into it. But because of the work that you do, you just happen to fall into places that you really want to be sometimes, which I find very interesting. Puppeteering, voice acting work, Kaz's vagina. These are the things you fall into, and you're like, well, how am I here? What happened? Yeah. Whoa. Hello. No, that's not what I was implying. That's what you're implying.
Oh my God. I set myself above for that. I'm talking about the vastness of life.
Cold-blooded.
But no, we talk about me spreading myself thin, and I usually that's like kind of one of my traits. I kind of do that a lot. But I feel like when you do that, you kind of find the diamond in the rough. The diamond.
Wow.
The diamond. Wow. You will find the one thing that
Don't you think that's culturally appropriating the people of Agabra right now? What you're just doing?
Yeah, it's a fictional town, right? It's a fictional.
You say that, Alex, but there are plenty of places that have been wiped off the map. We don't know. Agabra could have been real. Aladdin could have been real. Robin Williams could have been real. These are the things that could have been real, Alex.
Well, one of the places that is real is Shrewsbury, and Shrewsbury's just filled with talent. It really is. Genuinely, like Mike moved to Shropshire. He'll tell you all about it in a second when he gets here. He said he's running a bit late, but we got 15 minutes just to chat. That's what we got
plenty of time, dude. We got
but yeah, he moved here just because of the raw talent that's around here. So
did he?
Yeah,
he heard about you. He's like, I heard Alex likes it raw. He's got that talent. Huge talent.
When's the last time we recorded? He made me cry in a coffee shop, and I brought this up. I did interview Mike already.
I knew it was big. I knew it. So
there are pictures there's pictures of me and Mike there at the Loopy Shrew in Shrewsbury.
What are you drinking?
They were complimentary coffees that they brought over. Ooh. So I was a bit skint then. I was like, I've barely got enough to rub together for a couple of coffees. So I got there and I was like, I'd been to a coffee place before. So I planned it out, have a coffee, go to the Loopy Shrew, buy another coffee, sit and record, go, right? So I still had coffee left from my first place I'd been to do work. And I'm setting up, we did the interview, Mike buys us a coffee, and as we're doing the interview, they're bringing us complimentary coffees because they know who I am at the biscuit and stuff. It's quite cool. But I forgot where I was going with this now.
He made you cry. He made you cry.
Yes, right. So the first coffee place I went to, one of my favorite places in Shrewsbury to sit and drink is House Coffee. It's right by my kids' school, so I can just nip there, have a coffee, and then go and get Timmy. You know, it's kind of handy. But I'll sit there with a laptop and I'll just zone into my laptop. Nothing else exists, and I've got my headphones in. I'm editing or I'm typing emails, and I'm doing that. That's what I'm doing. And I see Charlie Adlard, who we will stop and say hello if we see each other now, which is kind of cool. That's cool as fuck.
That's good. It's a lot better than the first time that we like started meeting Charlie, and you're like, Charlie, it's me, it's Alex. Alex, remember me, Charlie? So now you got like a real working relationship with Charlie. Now it's like you guys are equals instead of him being that amazing guy. That's
I wouldn't say that, man. The guy's worth millions.
But money isn't everything, as we all know. Work is what matters when it comes to artistic type shit. And if I'm gonna be totally fair and honest, you put in a lot of fucking work. So I would put you on the same level, dude. It's not like, don't get me wrong,
maybe in a few years.
I mean, what's it been now?
The biscuit guy.
You've been
the biscuit guy.
The biscuit guy, dude. You built a hometown thing. He's part of the hometown. He respects that. One day, nice. Charlie Allard will be like, "Hey, I know that guy. That's Alex. Alex, it's me, Charlie. Charlie."
Well, this is kind of what happened, and me and Charlie have worked together a couple of times, which is kind of cool. And I'm sat there, I'm zoned out, and this guy comes walking over, who was sat with Charlie, and I was kind of like, I'm just, and he's there, he's towering above me, and I was like, oh, hi, and he goes, hi, I just wanted to come say hello. I really liked your show, and I've just moved here from Florida. He's an English guy, but he's been living in Florida. You'll find out all about that. And your show's helped me sort of acclimatize the area, so thank you very much. Shook my hand. I was like, oh, thank you very much. And I was like, oh, and this is going to sound really rude, but I was kind of like, and you are? It's like, and you are? And he was like, I'm Mike Perkins. I'm the head artist for Swamp Thing, and I work with DC Comics. And I was like, oh. I was like, oh. And then Charlie comes over.
Complimentary cup of coffee.
And then Charlie comes over and he's like, hi, Alex, as if I'm a member of the family. Like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, hey. I'm like, hey. And they go out, and I was just kind of like, people sat around me had no idea. Like, when that happens to me, I get like filled up with emotion, and I'm just like, oh, that was the guy from. And I was and I was just like, there's tears welling up in my eyes. And I'm like, oh fuck. So I wiped my tears away and just had to lock into my work get back on with it, because like otherwise I'd just been a mess. But yeah,
you realize really that Charlie and him were walking away. You're like, you see the way he cried? Like, what's up with that? Like, I mean, like, it was cool and all. Like, he's the Shrewsbury guy. I get it, but does he cry on the show? Is that something? Is that like his trademark? He just starts crying.
More like Charlie's like, yo, watch this shit, Shivai. I bet you this fucking pussy cries when you get speak to
him. He fucking walks away. He's giving him a 5 spot. He's like, yeah, I told you, you cry. Look at that. I'm fucking Charlie Adlard.
Fucking amazing. No, they're nice guys. They're nice guys. We'll get Charlie. I said this to Mike. What?
Super nice.
Yeah, nice. We'll get Charlie back on the show, because the last time he came on USUK was with Cosmic Rays. It was kind of a mess. There was like 5 of them, and Charlie was just like, "Hey, I'm here too," So we'll get him for a nice sit down.
The adults are talking, Charlie. Let the other people talk. We've talked to you before. He's like, "Yeah, I know, but you want to hear what I have to say, right?" I'm like,
"I drew pictures of Michonne getting raped. What do you do?"
Fuck it, I'm gonna fucking Michonne you guys. I'm like, whoa, it's kind of an honor, actually. You're rich.
But it's been nice to sort of focus on the biscuit for a little bit, and that was kind of cool. But I've missed this. This just dicking around, because the biscuits, it's got a bit of a sophistication about it. I don't swear and stuff on there. Do you know what I mean?
I like you, Tom, because you're low class. That's why I like doing this with you. It's like podcasting with a fucking bag of needles or something in a meth pipe.
It's like juggling cats. It's
dude, that's like a real talent, bro. You were like down blowing the people that actually juggle cats, man.
Oh, it's really funny, because I was talking about who was I telling this about? I was telling about the Andy McElfresh interview, and I was like, don't smoke any pot, and Tom's reaction to that was to drink like a whole pot of coffee just before we went on, and he was like, "Hello guys, welcome to Thoughts Game Podcast. Today we're going to be speaking to Andy McElfresh," and he's like, and I'm in the background
like doing jump jacks while they record.
That was just amazing. We've been through so much, man.
I'm having coffee right now. Fucking good. Speaking of which, I woke up at like 6. I had weird dreams. I don't know if it's like part of like the new gig and stuff, but like when I wake up stupid early. I still get up at like 5, 6 or whatever it is, and then like I'll try to go back to bed, And like actually this was like 3 o'clock. So I woke up at like 3 o'clock, went back to bed, and it's always the deep REM sleep, right? Like it's never like when I go to bed the first time, I never dream. It's always when I wake up and I take a piss and I go back to bed. That's when I dream. That's when I dream hard. And it was weird dreaming about like getting with this fight with this dude who like was in this house, and it was just such a weird thing. And I'm not really a what's the word? Not controversial. Yeah, controversy. I'm not really into controversy at all. And so it's so weird for me to be in like this volatile fucking like argument with this dude, which ends up me hitting him. And it was just so strange. And then like it was you. No, fucking
you.
No, it was actually my mom's like across the street neighbor. It was so weird, which I have like nothing but good interactions with. It's never been like, oh, that guy's weird. But it was just such a strange thing. And then I woke up and I was like, huh, I guess I'm gonna make quiche. And I fucking went and started making quiche.
Isn't it weird though? And have you ever had a dream where you want to get back to? You know, I want to go back there. And you try.
Yeah, of course.
You've done that. It doesn't work.
It kind of works. Like you can get like things of it back, but it's not that. You never go back to exactly where you were. It's always, oh, you want to go back to dream about tigers, which by the way, you like my tiger skin fucking chair you're rocking?
Very exotic of you.
Yeah. Well, fucking dude, like Shona was going through. One of the other things we did is we recarpeted the boys' room with some 1970s like fur carpet. Like it looks like I literally skinned Cookie Monster and laid them all over my kids' floor. I mean that. I'll post pictures about it later. And so we've been just finding like random pieces of like old fur and shit all over the attic and stuff. And this is just one of them. And I was like, dude, that's gonna make a dope like.
Not real fur though, just faux fur.
No, it's fake fur. I'd be very well. Like, I mean, I wouldn't personally go kill a tiger. And like, if I went to India right now and I found somebody selling tiger skin, I'd be really pissed. Like, dude, fuck you. But if I found that this is from like the 60s or the 50s or the 40s or something, and it's very, very old and like antique rug, I'm a little bit cooler about it because that thing's been dead forever. And even if it was still kicking, he'd be dead a long time by now. So I can be cool with that.
But say you sold it on like eBay or something, you might start a new trend and people are like, oh, I really like this. Oh, you like that? Oh, yeah, I need real tiger. Oh, I'm going to go get me some tigers. You're going to get some? Yeah, okay, right. Okay, I know a guy. He'll go and get you some right now from the Serengeti. Oh, no, it's not. That's lions, isn't it? Tigers from India.
Is it racist if I say that I really want to go to Africa, but I'm afraid of the smell? And that's not like saying anything about Africa.
No, it's not racist. That's culturally insensitive. That's what that is. It's
well,
like,
I mean, but here's the thing: is like you've been in Morocco. Yeah. What's it like? And what's the smell? You're from.
The smell was
UK.
fine. The smell was fine, but we went to the main. We went into Marrakesh. And it did scare the shit out of me, in all honesty, because it was like tuk-tuks driving everywhere. There's cars everywhere. It was dusty. There was hot. And then when they dropped us off in the bus, the people just made a beeline towards us with their monkeys, like to take pictures and the souvenirs. And they literally, you could see them all honing in on us. And we're like, what the fuck is this? It was a bit nuts. So yeah.
Jamaica was like that. Jamaica was a lot like that. They, like the moment you get off the bus and you're a tourist, they just want to, peddle their wares, which is fine. That's how they make money. But like, I'm from the US. I'm very sensitive. Like I live in the middle of nowhere. Fucking like if something got hit. I work near the highway. Like my building is near the highway, and some sort of like deer or a moose or something got hit down the highway, and I could smell the rot, right? Like the decay, and that really fucked me. I was like, ugh, like. Even just a whiff. And let's be fair and honest, like they have a different, culture over there completely. Like their thought about food and how to prepare food and all that stuff is very, very different than ours. And like, sometimes they'll just throw dead carcasses place. So I'm concerned that like I'm gonna get there and I'm just gonna be like, and I'm gonna sneer or something, even though it's like, the home of everything in the world, and it's the biggest biggest continent, right? It's the biggest continent, right?
Yeah, Africa's the biggest one, man.
Are you just saying that to placate me right now? Or are you just are you saying that? Because is Russia bigger? Which was bigger?
No. Russia's not a continent, but Russia's a country. So you've got Africa.
Is Russia
and then
part of
you've
Asia?
Got...
Is Russia part of Asia? No.
It's got half. There's a European half and an Asian half. Mike's just messaged me to say he's here. He'll be here in a sec. So I was like, yeah, we're just shooting the shit.
Maybe Mike can tell us if fucking Russia is a continent.
No, I think
it's not. It's not.
I said you're culturally insensitive, but I think you're just a massive pussy. I think that's the biggest.
Fuck you.
No,
Fuck
yeah,
you.
you're
listen,
like, oh my God, right?
I am playing Assassin's Creed Origins right now, which is Egypt, I'll have you know, and I have not sneered once. So I'll fucking have your apology right now.
I will. I mean, when I go abroad, when I go places, I don't want to go to all the tourist trap places, which I have done. I went to Marrakesh. I was like, hey. But even when I went to Marrakesh, I was like, just find a fucking cafe, wait for the bus and get out of here. I went and saw a few bits, and that's very unlike me. That's very unlike me. I like to go and look. I do like to look at culture. When we went to Venice, I went to all the museums and all the old buildings and that. And
that's different. You know, that's old white people shit. That is so different.
When I come to America, when because I will eventually get there.
You've been to Hawaii, dude. Fucking that's someplace I've never.
That's not quite America, though. I mean,
but like
it's America's long distant cousin. It's kind of,
have you been checking out fucking World War II in HD, by the way? Like, it's actually made like a movie series out of it instead of just being the documentary footage, and they'd use actors.
Don't get me back down the World War II fucking rabbit hole.
It was kind of dope, dude. Like, I got stuck on it for a night and a half, and I was like, whoa. Like, see, I can't watch things. You'd be like, Tom, Ted Lasso, and everybody else in the world agrees that Ted Lasso is one of the greatest television series ever.
It is.
Period. It's not just
listeners. Get in touch. Tell Tom.
Dude, but like, I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, you know what, fucking let's watch a little bit more World War II. I need to learn a little bit. I watched what's that Mel Gibson movie? We Were Soldiers. I watched that while we were fucking.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that on the phone. I watched it, man. I was like, well done. You watched a 20-year-old movie.
I did. That's all I did. It was excellent. It was so great. Mel Gibson rocks, right? I hope he comes back. He's back.
Is that the one from Ostriker from American Pie? Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, he was in that, and so was fucking John Hamm. John Hamm was in that movie, like John Hamm.
Young John Hamm. So you got a bit of Mad Men going on, and you've got what's it called as well? The guy who played the sniper in Saving Private Ryan.
Yes, I was just about to say that. The guy from fucking Saving Private Ryan. He's sitting there and he's saying the prayers and shit, wiping off the rifle. Dude, I was they always have this guy.
He did. What's that one film with Bruce Willis? And he was like on the run because somebody put something in his bag.
What the 12 Monkeys?
No. Enemy. Public Enemy. No. Enemy of the State. No. That's it. Yeah, he was that. He was in one of the Hitmen.
Ford movie?
That wasn't Harrison. No, that was Will Smith and it's Gene.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I get that.
Yeah, I guess it's here. There was somebody else that was really important that was in that movie.
We'll have to think about that, aren't we?
Yeah,
yeah. Jackson was in like 3 movies and disappeared. Anyway, our guest is here. He's got something in his mouth though. I don't know if to. That's a really bad way to.
Is it his BAFTA?
I guess here he's got something in his. He's laughing, but so I guess we've got to bring him in. So you're coming in 3, 2, and 1. It's Mr. Mike Perkins. How are you, Mike? You good?
I'm eating. Sorry.
That's fine. I was trying to decipher if you were Mike Perkins II or if you're just really excited to be Mike Perkins.
I'm just really excited. That's what it is.
I don't blame you. Your fucking long history in comics is more than enough to get 2 exclamation marks. The reason I don't put 2 exclamation marks by my name is because like I'm excited about the quiches I made today, and you're like, well, I kind of changed comics history, but that's fine.
Just quiche. Just put quiche.
Quiche.
It was pretty good. I took pictures of it because I'm trendy like that and shit. And I made my wife. I literally made like a ham and cheese quiche and a broccoli and cheese quiche.
Wasn't there a recipe for quiche in Preacher? You remember? There's a recipe for quiche in Preacher where I think Cassidy talked about making quiche, and he said the recipe for quiche is you make it and you put it on the windowsill and then you throw it out the window.
Wow. Well, see, the thing is, I got a lot of eggs, man. We got like 10 chickens, and then we got 6 more or something because my wife doesn't love me, and she was like, "Oh, you don't want any more chickens, right?" And I was like, "No more chickens, please." And she's like, "Okay, cool, let's get 6 more," and then she just added them to the mix. So I got this abundance.
So is it like the more chickens she gets, the less she loves it?
I think I like to count like the hate in chickens. Like
I follow Shonna's TikTok.
Yeah,
and her TikTok is very
good.
Lots of chicken love there. I mean, not much Tom love. Lots of chicken love.
We're back onto Preacher again, aren't we?
To be totally fair, like I kind of like stay away from that thing. Like I try to. She tries to include me all the time. She's very lovely, and the fact is, she's like, "Oh, you want more viewers? I can get you more viewers. I have like like 300, 400, 500 people on TikTok that I could boost your shit about." I'm like, "Nah, I'm all set." And she's like, "Whatever, fuck you." And she goes off and does her own thing, which is great. But Mike, fucking, so you met my young cup podcasting co-host here in a coffee shop. Is that what I just said?
Well, in a cup. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking.
I met him in the coffee shop. We did
I was telling about how you made me cry, you and Charlie, in the coffee shop. It's a famous story now. You know what I mean? Because I don't. When it comes to doing this thing, we're kind of nerds, right?
I remember hearing about it on Google News when they're like, Alex Whiteley cries again.
I just cried at the Beastie Boys story, by the way. I just watched it. Talk about. It's amazing. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
But, talk about MCA when he dies and kind of like how, he changed their lives and stuff. And they're trying to tell the story on stage about all the things that the Beastie Boys did and how much Yao was part of everything that they did. And then they just start breaking it. You need to finish reading it. And I was kind of like, I'm done. Oh, gosh. So, Mike, yes, we did meet. We met the other day at the Loopy Shrew. I do have pictures just to show everybody. Look, it's we met.
They came out really nice.
It was really nice. But we're going to redo this interview, but in the very USUK.
Well, different, but the same thing. And this is the weird thing. Is Alex sometimes will do this. He'll meet somebody very, very incredible like yourself, Mike, and you'll be like, "Oh, this person was so great. I need to bring him to introduce him to Tom." And there's this great dynamic between the two of you because you guys have met, and I'm like the third party, just kind of watching in the corner, being like, "This is really sexy. I like how these guys talk to each other." But I'm gonna be more involved. I'm gonna start throwing in little bits of hands. So, how does one begin a very long-tailed career in comics, good sir?
Ooh. You start drawing very early, like when you're 2 years old.
That's how I did. I drew boobs. I was like circles. That's an 8, Mom. Don't worry about the nipples. And then I draw boobs, but mine weren't.
Oh well, we don't have a problem with nipples in England. That's fine.
No, is that just an American thing? We have a big issue with nipples. It's true. Don't you guys have like naked news?
Oh, yeah. On some channels, yeah.
Yeah, maybe in Germany. Right. Hello and welcome to the news.
Yeah.
Today we're going to talk about the tragedy that happened in Johannesburg.
Sorry.
I remember being on an American flight to Germany, actually. And I think it was X-Men Age of Apocalypse, or Apocalypse, or whatever it was called, was playing. And
terrible
so
movie.
On. And the violence was no problem, But Psylocke had a little boob window on her costume, and it was all smudged out. It was all blurred out.
What?
It's like the violence is fine, but little boob window is just like no.
I never cease to amaze me what certain countries find weird or they won't allow into the movies. My best example is I went to Jamaica one time and we were told up front, but like, hey, so, it's not really cool to be gay in Jamaica. It's just part of the belief system. So like my sister was very loud and proud at the time. And like, you might want to cover up some of your tattoos, just not cause any problems, which is fine. You can't hold anything against other people's culture. So we're down there. I'm sitting in my room. Big Daddy's on, the movie with Adam Sandler. And like everything's like they're letting swearing go, and I'm like, wow, like Big Daddy with swears. This isn't like TV at home. And all of a sudden, like they get to the scene where the two dudes kiss, and they skipped over it. It wasn't even there, and I was like, what? They just kissed, and that's how you know they're gay. And that's when I found out that things were different, depending on what country you're actually in. Yeah. So they wouldn't show Psylocke's cleavage, but like let's just show Apocalypse ripping out Gambit's skeleton right now.
That was totally fine. Yeah.
Totally fine. Totally acceptable.
There's also things where you're in different countries and the translations just don't work. There was You Only Live Twice was on when I was in Poland, and there's this bit You Only Live Twice where the fold up bed goes into the wall, and these guys come in and shoot the hell out of it, and then the person. Oh, the bed comes back down. James Bond is dead on the thing, and because he was in bed with a woman, somebody says, "Oh, at least he died on the job." You know, it was like, it's great, right? And the Polish translation came up, and it was like, at least he died doing his work. I was like, no, it's not the same thing.
But it kind of almost makes it a little bit better because you're like, yeah, that is his work, right? Fucking, he saves the queen some days, but really, James Bond's job is to get the girl, which he's very, very good at. Is anyone else excited for that new James Bond film? I'm not particularly. I don't know.
I've seen it.
I've seen it.
Was it good? Was it good? Is it already out?
Yeah, I've not been a big fan of. I don't mind James Bond. I'll watch it. The last was it the last one? The one before was it was a bit nuts. It was a bit nuts. I was just like, this is weird. Stupid. Like,
well, but they had to like bring like 6 films together. So I'm like, we just made a bunch of Daniel Craig films. Now we got to tie them all together, and they couldn't even get like the James Bond they wanted. They had to like deal with what they had, and it was kind of.
Well, I think Skyfall would have worked out better when it was because originally the intention was it Albert Finney was the caretaker. Originally it was supposed to be Sean Connery, which would have been brilliant.
Yes.
Just be like, okay, this, obviously it's a title that's passed down to each person,
Yeah,
I find that to be the coolest thing about James Bond. I know we're trying to talk about comics, but we got wrong this real quick. I always found that to be cool because it's up to like interpretation, right? I always took it as James Bond was a title that got passed down. You took the identity, you took the number, and that's who James Bond is. That's why he can be different, through a 50-year length of time. And then some people are like, no, he's supposed to be the same guy every single time. It just looks different because. It's that. What did you take it as, Mike? When at the because you've been watching and reading it longer than we have.
Well, that's kind of what I did. I mean, turning it back into the comics, I did a series when I was at CrossGen, which was called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and that came out before Kiss Kiss Bang Bang movie came out.
Oh,
and it was that was the whole concept of it. Was this super spy Charles Basildon who was. The name was passed down to the next person. It was a woman who became Charlie Basildon, and so it was all kind of. But it was great fun just playing with that whole 1960s misogynistic kind of hero.
That was the thing.
And a lot of people in America, the retailers, they were worried because they were like, well, this guy's a dick. And it's like, that's the whole point. It's like, we can't sell this because this guy's not heroic enough. It's like,
what? Like, have they ever read like a graphic novel? I mean, that's not what people. I don't tend to read like heroic stories. Even my favorite Batman ones aren't like heroic stories per se. Like, I like the Long Halloween, like the Tim Soul and fucking shit. Like, that's my favorite Batman. Or like the Frank Miller. That's not really heroic Batman. That's kind of like vengeful Batman. That's like detective Batman. It's never the superhero.
There's the scene from The Dark Knight Returns where he's running and he falls. He's like, fucking useless, Bruce, or something. He's like, you fucking useless, get up. Like, he's trying to get back into it and he falls down the fire escape. He's like, you're a fucking idiot. I love that because, like you said,
it's real.
Yeah, it is. And we were talking about this, Mike, in the Loopy Shrew. Shout out to the Loopy Shrew. Thanks for the free coffee and all that. But we were talking about the kind of the stories that are kind of like, and The Long Halloween was another one because it's a long detective thing. But we were also talking about Mike, your early career with 2000 AD, and the idea that us Brits, we kind of not us Brits. I can't include me in this, but the classic British comic books aren't you necessarily your superhero thing. That's an American thing.
Yeah. Look at that. Now, is that okay? So is that looks like either fucking the shield from
that's a
from
Dredd,
Boys.
Dredd badge.
Okay, that's Dredd. See, that's the thing is Alex has done far more Dredd research than I have. I saw the movie back in the day, so I get it. But like, I was like, oh shit, is he showing me a boy shield? Are you trying to tell me you're gonna do something really horrible right now? Because I'd still watch it. Fuck,
Sorry, what was the question? We missed it.
No, we were talking about having a license to work on comic books that aren't necessarily your superheroes.
Right.
More like the 2000 AD stuff, you got the vengeful cop from the future type thing, and this is where you started, right, Mike?
Yeah. Pretty on that. My first professional work was 2000 AD. Yeah. And that kind of led on to other things. at the same time, I was kind of sending stuff to Marvel UK and wasn't kind of biting. It's a great story, actually, because one of my friends, he was a writer, and he would recycle everything. Like every piece of paper, every letter you got from him, there was something on the back, you know. It was just like, you know, he's Bill, you know, and it was like, oh, okay, yeah. And so he'd sent some ideas into Marvel UK, and they got in touch with him and said, sorry, Paul, we can't use any of these at the moment, but who did the drawings on the back? And it was my stuff, and that's how I got in at Marvel UK.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
what? Just happenstance? You just like all of a sudden kind of like, you know, obviously you're very talented, so you're you know, just attempt to make a nice drawing for your friends and it being your road into Marvel Comics. Weird.
Right.
That's wow, that's so different.
So they gave me Biker Mice from Mars to do. So that was
I remember that. I remember they made a cartoon out of that for a while, didn't they?
Yeah. It was originally a cartoon, I think. Yeah.
Fuck, I remember that cartoon. I was doing research on you before because Alex told me to do research a couple weeks ago, which I totally
do your fucking job,
did.
Tom.
Yeah, I didn't do it. I read it like a couple months before you came on, and I'm reading through your Wikipedia, and like I love graphic novels, big fan of graphic novels. I never understood collecting single comics. I have a bunch of singles, but they're like for my collector's purposes, not because I enjoyed the story per se, but I love a whole story. And then I started seeing some of your work that you did with the crossover, the DC, the Dark Horse stuff, and that was my jam growing up. Like the Batman versus Predator, the Alien versus Superman, and I was looking there, I was like, oh shit, he did Aliens versus Green Lanterns. He did Predator versus Aliens. Like, how do you get into a cross genre like that? Was that already going on? Did they start that up?
I mean, you just kind of, you know, that's the jobs they give you. I mean, I kind of got into the inking stuff with Phil Winslade. We went over this the other day with Alex, but Steve Pugh was working on Superman versus Terminator, and he wanted somebody to ink him on that. And because he liked what I'd done on Phil's work, he asked me to ink his stuff on that. And that led to the Green Lantern versus Aliens thing, you know, and it's one of those things, you know, I didn't really intend to solely ink. It's just the way it came out. It was just like, you know, I was getting more inking jobs. And then when I went to CrossGen, and they were kind of like, they basically employed me as an inker. And because that's all they've known that I could do, even though I've been penciling and inking and coloring at 2018. And they sat in the office and they said, okay, what we do at CrossGen is we basically say you've got to do a page per day. And I was kind of like, what do I do in the afternoon? You know?
Like, no, Mike, slow down. We said a page a day.
I mean, the thing was, it was, you know, inking is a lot of the deep thinking process is there with the penciling, you know. Mm-hmm. So with the inking, you're putting the depth, you're putting the shadow, you're putting the texture, and so it's a different. The best way to describe it is if you're listening to a CD, if you listen to some music or something when you're inking, you can sing along to it. You know, but if you listen to music when you're penciling, the music's finished and you haven't heard one bit of it. You know, you
disappear into it.
Yeah. It's a different mindset.
I've got some of your ink work here. This is, I believe, stuff from Carnage. I picked this up.
Yeah. Penciling and inking there. Yeah.
Amazing work, because you can see the depth there and how you kind of the different shades of ink draws your eyes to certain places on the screen of the page.
Yeah.
I love.
I mean, the thing is, the good thing with Carnage, and again with Swamp Thing, is you just kind of go wherever the brush is taking you. You know, it's not like Iron Man where it's all structured. You know, and Carnage, you just the brush is going over there.
That was really impressive piece of work, actually. I have not seen too much of it. Obviously, Alex is more familiar, but the detail and like everything that you guys will have to watch the actual video. I'm sure Alex will post a couple pictures, but like this black and white of Carnage and like he's just kind of spread out a little bit everywhere, tendrils everywhere, like axes, and like it was very, very interesting done. How do you go about deciding what needs to be on the page in those type of moments? I mean, obviously there's like a description, kind of like where you're like, this is kind of what you're seeing. Then you're the one that really makes the decision of what we are going to see. How do you make that decision to make it like that, as opposed to maybe something a little more drawn back, a little more reserved?
Well, that's part of the construction of the comic. Put that page up again, Alex.
Yeah, do it, Alex. Put it back up.
Here we go. Here we go.
Okay, yeah, so you got the panels there on the left going down in size, so they're leading your eye to that main figure. It's not something you as a reader you necessarily know that I'm exploiting you in a way. But that's my job, is to lead your eye across the page. So you got those panels going down, everybody's looking to the right, and then the figure in the last page, she's even pointing up towards that figure there.
It's a visual manipulation.
Yeah. And Carnage itself, I mean, it's just, he's chaos. I mean, that's all he is. But if you look at all the tendrils going around, they take you in a circle, and then they swoop your eye back around where that reptile guy is getting his neck split on the bottom left-hand side. And then that takes you towards the axe, which takes you onto the next page.
It's beautiful. It really is.
It's
beautiful. It's gory. It's chaotic. It's
very clever.
It's be a storyteller. That's all it comes down to.
Now, you mentioned that Carnage is chaos, which I completely agree with. As a man that's both written or drawn for DC and for Marvel, who do you feel is more chaotic, the Joker or Carnage?
Well, I mean, there's Carnage is more chaotic. That's without doubt.
All right. Seal of approval.
Joker is more. What's in the name? The joke has to be constructed in a way. It's that's the way you tell a joke. You got the beginning, you got the middle, you got the end. Carnage just doesn't even think about that. He's just like,
just do it because
whatever. It doesn't have to have an end point. He's just he's just there for the shits and giggles.
I like it.
Is it your work on Carnage that led to your work on Swamp Thing because of visuals like this? As someone who looked at that and gone, oh, do you know what? He'd be really good at drawing Swamp Thing.
I don't think so.
My bad.
Is that Swamp Thing?
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, is that
I don't think so. I think it's just more. I always wanted to draw something, so that's one of the things that led me to that point. Was basically me going, please let me draw Swamp Thing. Yeah. So I think that it comes down to that rather than going from somebody seeing Carnage and going, oh, maybe somebody did. I don't know.
That's what kind of
comes down to me begging.
That's what kind of figured in my mind though, was because you could do the fine detail work of once again the tendrils coming off of Carnage, that kind of configures into the natural look that is Swamp Thing, because he's got a lot of vinage, he's got leafage, he's obviously essentially a god with covered in all the fauna. So it's pretty. I can see where the correlation comes between the two, and why. Obviously, in your words, you beg for the job, but I can see why somebody would have a lot of faith in you being able to pull it off just based on that work alone.
Yeah, totally. And because my line is very organic, anyway, it lends itself to those organic figures rather than something like Iron Man. I mean, the thing is with Iron Man, there are a lot of straight lines, but you can get organic with reflections and all that kind of stuff, so the organic quality can be there. But it's more of a case of things where, I like to put character, I like to put emotion into the faces, and that's not necessarily something you can do with a full face mask,
It's true.
I got Spider-Man here. You just got the mask, haven't you?
Yeah, you've always got the mask. I mean, the eyes can be expressive to a certain extent, but that was the big mistake they made in the first Spider-Man film with Green Goblin, and they gave him that face mask. Whereas Green Goblin's face, I mean, it's really expressive in the comics, and then they put him in a Power Rangers mask, and it was kind of like, really?
And it's Willem Dafoe. He has a very expressive face. It's not like you took somebody that just had like no response. Like he has the smile for. He had a lot of very Green Goblin characteristics that kind of followed suit. But the fact is that you put him in this mask and you don't see any of it. It's like covering up like a Jim Carrey's face or something. And you're like, what? But you're doing the worst thing to the movie that you could stop that. Just stop.
Yeah. It's like, let's get Willem Dafoe because he's got a really expressive face.
Yes.
And then you don't use it.
Or they could do the flip side and get, I don't know, someone like Tom Hardy who's got an expressionless face to play Eddie Brock.
Right.
I mean,
Oh
my God, I'm so fed of this power that I've got. Oh, I'm not hungry. Don't make me eat another dead cow. Like,
You're talking about Bronson right now. How dare you? That man,
he's good,
penis.
but he's overrated. I'm sorry, but I love Tom Hardy in certain things.
Bronson!
But like the best thing that he's in is in Warrior, where he's just kind of like, all right then, knock you out, like it was just one of the reasons why I asked you to come on USUK, apart from the fact that we've made friends and we know each other now, Mike, and I thought it'd be great for this podcast, but the fact that you moved to America to get on with to do your work, and I thought that was fantastic. That's what USUK is all about,
Excellent.
As a transition, working in the UK, and then up sticks, move over to Tampa.
Yeah.
At first, what was that like as a life-changing move for you?
I don't think I was ready. I was ready for a move. I was ready for something to change. So I don't know if there was that much of a cultural thing. We were talking about this the other day. The only thing was like certain words where, because everybody was in the studio. So I'm drawing there in studio, and Butch Geis is on another table close by. And I'm drawing, I'm like, Butch, can I borrow your rubber? And of course, everybody goes crazy. They're like, all I only wanted is a eraser. Everybody's just going wild with laughter. And Butch just turns around. He's like, well, do you want me to wash it out first? And there's certain aspects like that where, certain words do not translate.
But Americans, they struggle with the simplest things as well. The word duty. Duty over here is a beautiful word that we can say without feeling bad about anything. But to write the word duty in a comic book and have kids go duty.
Duty.
Yeah. You're just jealous that we're happier than you are. You're fucking sitting over there so sad and British, Alex. I'm over here like duty. And you're like, it's our duty, and I'm like, sure.
But it's an important aspect to selling a comic book universally. Whether you take, I don't know, we were talking about Constantine. Taking this guy who's meant to be from sort of Liverpool, and then selling him over to an American audience, having to adapt his dialogue and the way he talks and things, so that it makes a lot of sense. Have you worked a lot of that with making sure everything sort of ties up?
Not overly. There's only it's so close anyway. There's only certain things there which are kind of like they just annoy the hell out of me. Where it's herbs, right? That's the one that really gets me. Herbs. It's like there's a H on it for a reason,
We had this. Me and Tom have had this back into for a couple of years now. One of the things was like, you and your fucking Peppa Pig and your shopping trolley. What the fuck is a shopping trolley? My kids constantly come up to me and telling me about shopping trolleys.
It's very funny because, like, for a while, you were certain that my children were British because they were just watching so much British television between Peppa Pig and Thomas the Train and things along those lines. And they'd be like, Dad, we're gonna use the trolley, and then we're gonna go put some things in the
going to the shop.
Shop. Shit like that. And I'm like, speak American, motherfucker. Calm down.
I'm gonna buy some herbs. What's an herb?
Listen, Herb's behind the building, and he costs $25. Don't buy Herb. Like, he is overpriced, and he's toothless. He smokes meth. It's weird, right? Like, we speak the same language, but we don't speak the same language, even though you guys invented the language. So, I guess you're right. Maybe.
Well, actually, there is this viewpoint that people in the middle of America, there are parts of the middle of America that speak more Shakespearean English than we do in England.
What?
Yeah. Because they've been so not cut off, but their communities have kind of grown from that initial English, and it hasn't developed to the point that the English over here is developed.
Yeah.
It's all the RP development, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. So you go to Arkansas and you go into a shop and they go, forsooth. It's like great.
I'd love it if I walked into a shop and this is the guy was like, forsooth. I'm like, yes, sir. Get me a basket, Squire.
Let's get Brian Blessed over there. It'd be great.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you this question again, and I know it's awkward. The way we do like an interview and then I'll do a different interview. But taking hold of like a beloved object, like I don't know, I saw a picture of Spider-Man there. There's some stuff here with Hulk and Venom there. Like taking hold of these beloved characters and having the responsibility for them. What is that like for somebody maybe that's just stepped into the industry? What was that like for you?
I mean, the only one that I had a problem with, we were talking about before, was Judge Dredd. That was my second piece of work, and I was terrified by that because I've grown up with it. I think it just gets to the point where you really have to just you can't think about that, because it will just stunt you. It'll be just. You can't necessarily think about the legacy of those of who's done those characters before, who's created those characters. Even if one of your big artistic heroes has worked on those characters, you can't overly think about that. You just gotta carry on and do it, because otherwise, you'd be frozen. You wouldn't be able to do your work.
I find it to be very similar in what we do. We've talked to a lot of amazing people like yourself, Mike, and the more you kind of dwell on the fact that you're speaking to your hero, you're speaking to somebody you respect for their work, it changes the dynamic of the conversation. So I might talk the way I'm talking to you because I don't have like that bit where I'm like, oh my God, Mike Perkins did X, Y, and Z, and I'm starstruck by the fact. Instead, I can talk to you the way I'm talking to you now, which is just a guy to a dude. And I feel like conversation would be better than if we, had this whole other bit that was kind of like hindering that, right?
Totally.
Would you prefer
when I'm at conventions and I'm talking to celebrities, movie stars, or anything like that, I've never really concentrated on that. I've just been like, it's another guy, it's another girl. I'm not really that bothered, And I think to a certain extent they appreciate that approach, rather than you just go up to them and go,
I've never done that in my life. I've never.
Charlie. Alex, do you think it would be better, not better, and this is not to downplay your amazing art, this is just a question. Do you think it would be different or better if you had no idea who you were working with altogether? Let's just say they gave you what you were doing, and that's it. You had no idea who was writing your words or anything. Do you think that would make your art different or better in some way? No,
it wouldn't be any different. It's it's actually really good to know who the writer is, to be in touch with them. Like working with Ram at the moment, Ram V, who's writing Swamp Thing. It's great, that we can just go and chat to each other and say let's take it in this direction, and talking about the storytelling aspects of it, and playing around with that. It's really, really interesting, rather than just, okay, this is panel 1, this is panel 2, this is panel 3. We can say, okay, let's make this page look like the lifelines of a tree. and things like that, So it's actually really advantageous to know who you're working with. I don't think it would necessarily make a difference if I just got the script and didn't know who it was, but it does make a difference when I can collaborate.
Is there a kind of direction you kind of hate to see? Is there a kind of like, okay, Mike, we want this? What's the one thing that can come through and you go, oh, fuck, not that again?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's certain aspects, like if there's a scene on a plane, it's just so annoying because it's
just like a real life plane ride suck. I don't want to draw them either.
It's just because you have to do it where the conversational aspect of it is always left to right, to lead the eye. The person who's talking first always has to be on the left in a panel, and so it's so restrictive being on a plane because you can't just walk around, you can't move the camera around, because if you move the camera around, you got the back of the seat, you haven't got their faces or anything like that. So conversation on plane there's a bit more movement you can do in a car, but any kind of transport it's very restrictive, really.
But on the tube, it's long.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, tube you can play with because you can do something maybe going on in the background. Do some figures. Do a little story of your own in the background of some figures. But with a plane, you don't see anything. You just see the seat.
Next time you do a plane, what you do is you show like from out the window shot, and then you show like something on the wing of a plane, just to, like don't even draw attention to it. Like, is that fucking? Are they making a Twilight reference right now? What the fuck is that?
But that's a problem. That's a problem you always have to think about. Is if you put the camera, let's say, if you put the camera above something, then you're kind of forewarning the people who are reading it that there's something above, and there's nothing above. So in a way, it's like you've really screwed up with the storytelling aspect of it. So there's always certain aspects of that. I mean, sometimes you can do that just to vary the viewpoints and all this kind of stuff. If you want to show everything that's around them in a room. But a lot of the times, if you're going to shoot that through a banister that's looking down on the room, that's usually a sign that somebody is looking at them from the banister. So there's certain aspects of that.
Ways to fuck with people's head.
Totally.
We were chatting to the Drawn Art and Design Fair. Big shout out to Tat and to Cherie Gerard for putting that on, and all the artists we spoke to. But one of them was Gary Drew. Right now, Gary Drew, Tom, makes these amazing bits of art that are spray painted with lots of little bits. Like Mike drew a little Batman on one of his arts, which will then get sealed, and then it'll be hidden in with this painting. All these little bits, like of comic book characters and all sorts, on top of this. Aretha Franklin picture or Charles Darwin picture or what have you. And he likes to leave little Easter eggs in with his work, but not tell people what they are or where they are. So somebody can buy art, have it up in their wall for years and not know what they're looking at, right? And he likes to fuck with people at art. Have you ever been sort of tempted to leave little Easter eggs or little hidden bits inside a panel somewhere?
Yeah. You do tend to do that. You don't really have to like watch what you're doing now, because some people have done it in the past, and they've got kicked off a book because maybe they put something political in there,
Wow.
And that's it. They're not working for Marvel anymore, And I know that one guy on one of the issues of X-Men, he just on every page. He somewhere in the background he put the word sex, just to keep him occupied when he was drawing it, and so it was very much like a, what do you do at that point?
Now, does Marvel kind of go through like the drawings with a fine-tooth comb? Like, do they always find that stuff, or sometimes do things make it all the way to print?
No. Sometimes
I got away with it.
Yeah. Sometimes they make it through, and And because the Marvel guys, I mean, they're busy. The editorial, they're working on so many books per month. They don't really have the time, and a lot of the times, the artists will be running late, and they haven't got time to worry about it. The Marvel guy, the editors of Marvel are there on a Friday, waiting for work to come in, so they can just push it out to the printer. So a lot of the times it does get through, and a lot of the times it's usually the artist who gets into trouble for it.
One of the things I've spoken about quite a bit, especially when you speak to Shane Chebsey from Weekly Bazaar guys, you remember Shane, and Charlie, yourself and stuff, is the separation between comic books and movies. When we talk about Comic Cons, the comic book artists are thrown in the corner. They're hidden there. Last MCM I went to, you had to really walk and find your comic book artists, and then it was all Funko Pops and shit everywhere, like Nintendo this and all. And you're thinking, this all came from the guys that are hiding in the corner over there.
Yeah, it's a Comic Con. Yeah.
And you were telling me a story about Time magazine. I'm sorry that I know it's repetitive, but this is for a different show.
Empire. Yeah.
Empire magazine. Would you like to explain to Tom what happened there?
Yeah, it was Empire magazine. They were doing the 10 years of the Marvel movies special, and they wanted a cover illustration with all the Marvel guys on there. So I did this cover illustration. They loved it, and Marvel loved it. And then Marvel Films turned around and they were like, "Nope, not going to use it." And Empire and Marvel were like, "What? Why? It's great, And Marvel Films said, "Nope, it's we don't want comic characters selling our films." So it's just like,
what? That's so asinine. What the fuck's that supposed to mean? We don't want the actual, because these things are all based off of comic books. We don't want the comic books. We want comic book characters. Don't you understand, Mike?
Where's Downey Jr.? Where the fuck is Downey Jr.? It's insane. It really is insane. But I mean, I kind of understand it, but it's kind of damaging to the industry as well, because comic book sales aren't hot right now, are they? I mean, people are trying to pump things up a little bit because you need to keep coming up with these ideas, and the only way to keep coming up with these ideas is to keep giving the work for the comic book artists. I mean, Mike, you know more about this than me, but
totally.
It's insane. One of the things I mentioned a little bit earlier was working with comic book heroes that aren't necessarily superheroes. And after meeting you properly, Mike, I've been doing a little bit of looking, and I've got to say, your work on Lois Lane is phenomenal. Like this cover here, there's a bit of a better image of this. I would hang this shit up on my wall. I love it so much. The idea that Lois Lane is as powerful, if not more powerful than Superman, blows my fucking mind.
Yeah. See, that was the whole basis of it. That was the whole kind of, Lois is the most powerful person in the DC universe. She knows all the secrets. Every superhero respects the hell out of her. And she basically tells Superman not to mess around. She's just like, she's very much of the mind that if somebody is threatening to kill her, she's doing her job correctly. She doesn't need Superman to come in and save her. This one was basically, it came from a conversation with me and Greg about what do you do as a journalist when you're being told what you're doing is fake news, basically. And so it was kind of dealing with that whole real world situation, especially when you're a journalist of Lois's caliber, she's won Pulitzers, she's broken so many stories around the world, and it's just kind of, what do you do when somebody just stands up and goes, no, it's rubbish, so we were dealing with that kind of stuff, really.
It's nice because
it really worked out quite well. I mean, Greg's very politically minded, but we didn't want it to be a political book, even though Lois herself is a political animal. As a journalist, you have to be. So,
I imagine actually with any sort of reporter that when you do break a story and you've put your life on the line for this, and you maybe had to go into hiding maybe a little bit, and you write up your story, and then for someone to go, nah, that's bullshit, mate. Oh my God, it must be infuriating. It must be like, what? Right. They were shooting at me.
Yeah. And there were certain aspects of that. I mean, like, I remember Butch Guys telling me a story once, and I repeated this story to this other guy, and this other editor turned around and goes, that's rubbish. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's rubbish. I know the guy who told me the story. It's like...
He's like, yeah, but I decided that it's rubbish, so it's rubbish. And you're like, what? I always liked, there's this really cool part in Flashpoint Paradox where Lois Lane is kind of like one of the leaders of the resistance on the human side of it all. And I always kind of respected how powerful she became, because she is one of the most powerless people in DC Comics. I mean, even I think Jimmy Olsen at one point had powers of some sort.
Oh, yeah. He's been a gorilla and everything, yeah.
So, Lois Lane, just normal plain Dane Lois Lane, is Superman's girlfriend. That Lois Lane happens to be the most respected, the most decisive, just because she did all this really deep investigating reporting back in the day. I always liked that about her. So it's really cool that you took the concept of Lois Lane's inner strength and brought that out in the series. When did that come out? I wasn't even aware of that coming out.
It's going to be a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Back.
Did you guys end the run? Are you still running it?
It was a 12 issue. It was a 12 issue thing.
Oh, cool. So maybe there's a graphic novel for it then.
Yeah,
that's how you'll get me to read it.
It's all collected in one.
Yeah? Well, I know what I'm asking for my birthday then.
Nice thick one there.
Yeah, that's why I like some thickness in my books. Look at that.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Oh,
but yeah, it was we there were parts of it that it didn't really come about as strong as we wanted, because at the time Superman had revealed his secret identity to the world. Lois Lane's dad had died in a different book, so we had to deal with all this stuff going on as well, so it kind of derailed us a bit from that side. But
so do you have to incorporate that type of stuff into your story once it becomes canon?
We did. I mean, it was just more of a case of this is coming out concurrently with the Superman books. So if it affects Lois, we have to address it. Right?
Now, in turn, will they take your stuff and put it in their stuff? Will they be like, oh, Lois Lane just did this in Public Enemy, so now we got to incorporate that? Oh, that's kind of cool, though.
It is, but sometimes it derails the story you want to tell.
That must be really frustrating.
You have to take a step back for a couple of issues until you can get back to that point you were at before all this other stuff kind of came in.
Did anyone derail you so much? You're like, dude, I just built a month of working on this, and you changed everything with 2 lines in your fucking book.
We had to change the outlook of the whole book, because Lois is supposed to be this beacon of truth, and she's been basically lying about Clark Kent all these years. So it's like, how are you going to deal with that? You're going back to this whole thing of the leader of the country saying fake news. Then you've got a reporter who's been doing fake news for the past however long.
I think it would have been great if you had brought up pink kryptonite and be like, that's fake news. It never happened. Superman never turned gay ever. It's not pink kryptonite.
And that brings up a really important story, because there's so much going on with DC. I imagine there's dozens of writers working on dozens of projects all at the same time. How do you keep the continuity to keep the fanboys happy?
It's a pretty tight ship. I think the editorial teams, they kind of know where their books are going. So it is a pretty tight ship in that regard. Sometimes they miss things. Somebody. One of the worst things is when you're working on something like X-Men, right? Because I did Astonishing X-Men with Marjorie Liu, and we're working on it, and you're like, okay, we want to use this character, this guy. Oh no, you can't use that character because he's in this book at the moment. Oh, okay. What about this character? Nah, we got a story based on that character that's coming in 2 months' time, and it's just kind of like, so who can I use on my X-Men team? You
get Puck, you get Nightcrawler, you get you get Jubilee, and you're like, I don't have a story for them. Well, tough, astonish me.
Yeah. It is like that. It's very much. Sometimes you can put Wolverine on because he's in every X-Men team, so it doesn't really matter about him.
Yeah, Wolverine is the Deadpool of the X-Men universe, even though Deadpool's already the Deadpool of the Deadpool universe. Yeah.
Do you get a lot of fan mail, to do with what you've done?
Via carrier pigeon, like we get mail.
Emails, whatever. Fuck you, Tom.
Yeah. You do. You get quite a bit.
What about the negative?
You also get a lot of charity. Please give it to my charity.
Fucking please give me money, Mike. I know you got it.
It's all
your
the
Lois
time.
Lane run.
It's kind of like, there's certain ones you can do something about, but a lot of the times it's like, if I do this once a week, I'm going to be, I'm going to be penniless by the end of the year.
Anybody want
I'll need to have a charity for me.
It's very nice. Fucking, oh, poor Mike. Fucking A.
I've got this this podcast called the Shrewsbury Biscuit.
Is he fucking paying me? This is why I'm glad I'm poor. Fucking nobody asked me for anything except telemarketers, and apparently my car warranties are always up. I don't understand that. I already did it like 3 times. Fuck.
But it's worth bringing up the fact that you've moved to Shropshire from Tampa, and that's because for the listeners that are listening from around the world, I know you're there. How's it going, guys? But like the listeners that aren't around Shropshire to understand, there is something very special about Shropshire, because especially Shrewsbury in particular and the outskirts, there are so many creators, and we're not just talking about comic book artists, because even if we're going to talk about them, we're talking about Charlie Adlard, Robbie Morrison, who's a writer, John Wagner, the creator of Judge Dredd, Mike Perkins, Charlie Adlard,
Christian Ward,
Charlie Adlard. Say him again. Say him one more time.
Casper Wingard is thinking of moving over here. There's a whole bunch of.
What's the draw? Like, were you from that area? Like, were you from
I was close
Shropshire?
by. I grew up close by in Wolverhampton. But I lived here 20 odd years back before we went over to the States. I don't know, it's there is an artistic spirit. Some towns, some cities you go to, you can feel that artistic spirit.
Are you saying Tampa didn't have that? Come on now. Look how white trash it is. All the artistic talent in the world moves to Tampa.
We're not allowed to say that, Tom Bruno.
I am allowed to say that. I've been to Tampa. I've been there. It is the white trashiest place in fucking Florida, which is like Mike Perkins, charming, amazing artist, and then a sea of meth heads. I don't understand it.
I don't know. I mean, Tampa changed a lot. I was there for 20 years, so it was like it changed a lot in that time. I mean, it was when we got there, it was 70, 75-year-olds and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it changed a lot. I think simply because a lot of people were moving from San Francisco, places like that, because it just got crazy expensive.
Yeah.
And so they could cash in a 1-bedroom flat in San Francisco and buy a big 5-bedroom, swimming pool kind of thing in
McMansion.
Tampa. Yeah. And so it by the time we left, I mean, the average age in Tampa was maybe 35 to 55, something like that. So in 20 years, it had really dropped.
It went from being like a grumpy old man to Logan's Run. You're like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. They're starting to kill everybody over 30 right now.
And because I was in that community where there were, 60, 70, up to 100 people working in one building, all creating comics, you didn't really notice anything else. It was just that it was very, very creative.
So the real question is that you mentioned all those people working together. How does something like a huge pandemic change the dynamic of doing art for a major comic book company? Like, I mean, obviously the creative atmosphere that you were in before, which is like a whole room full of people kind of bouncing off each other, like being excited. Now it's like you. I mean, I'm sure things are a little different now, but essentially for a couple of years, it was just you in your office by yourself sending emails. Does that still have the same feel?
Well,
Do you still get the same feelings across the page?
No, I mean, that's basically how the industry works anyway. CrossGen was an outlier in the sense that they wanted everybody working in-house. It doesn't happen.
No?
It was a big experiment, you know. You know, even in the 70s when they were talking about the Marvel bullpen, you know, everybody was having a good party. It didn't exist. You know, it was just made
a
up.
cocaine bowl, and Stan Lee was wearing a bathrobe. That was the bullpen.
And so it was a totally different thing. For me, I mean, it was when the pandemic came about, and everyone was bitching and moaning about working from home. I was just kind of like, welcome to my world.
Welcome to Mike's world, bitches. I love it. You're all late to the game. That's how me and Alex felt, actually, because we do the show remotely, right? Like, this is how we're doing it right now. And we were doing it a couple years before the pandemic hit. So we were because like before the pandemic, we would write people and they had no idea. They're like, what do you mean? You don't want us to come somewhere? Like, you just want to show us up on the computer? And we're like, yeah, that's
Google Hangouts.
Google Hangouts. Shout out. And that's how we did it for a number of years. And then the pandemic hit and everybody was trying to catch up on how to do it this way. Me and Alex were off to the fucking races. We're like, we've been doing this for years now, baby. We know how to handle this. So I'm sure it was the same way for you. Everyone's like, how do I function in a Mike Perkins world? You're like, welcome, bitches. I've been doing it for years.
You get up in the morning, you start work. What's the problem? It's like
we created our own visual cues. Like you probably seen me a couple of times. I've gone like this, or gone, you know, like that. And that's like that's me next, bitch.
Respect my finger. I'm like, I get it, Alex. I respect your finger. Your amazing British finger.
But no, we welcome you in Shropshire with open arms, seriously, and it's been has been a genuine pleasure because me and Mike have bumped into each other a couple of times now and done interviews and stuff, and it really is a pleasure to know you. And I'm really excited to see things that you can be working on. I know that you're very much a part of the community already. You know, I know Shane Chebsey's got you with the drink and draw thing. Shane Chebsey, shout out to him. The comic Salopia stuff. Is there anything you're working on in the new year that you're kind of excited about?
I mean, I'm constantly on Swamp Thing. I think that's the main thing. We've got another 6 issues on Swamp Thing. It was originally going to be 10 issues, and
which have the first 4.
It was so and it was so successful that they extended it for another 6 issues.
Nice.
So it's a 16-issue thing. Which is almost unheard of. You know, usually series are cut short, you know, because they're not selling. And so, you know, it was great to have that extended. And so really it's that. There's a couple of things which I'm talking to people about as well. But it's kind of outside the realms of comics. Because I'm under contract with DC, I can't do any more comic work. But I can do other artwork as well, you know. So
that was actually my question is like because when I find people's work that I really, really enjoy, I have a whole wall of just people's work that I've been collecting. I have this good he's actually British, very smart dude, not Alex, he's a different guy. He moved from well, you're smart too. Get off my dick, Alex. Fucking.
I used to say that as I was taking a swig of my drink, so you knew I wouldn't take it.
I did. Well, he told me always invest in art. He said like the one thing that never goes down is art. He's like whether it might fluctuate, but it never goes down. Really. So like I always try to collect like amazing artwork. So are you allowed to do like commission pieces and things along those lines?
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
Okay,
I do commission pieces as well. Usually,
I'll be messaging you. Fucking
excellent.
Absolutely.
People can usually just go to my site and there's a commission link on there. And, you know,
oh shit! All right, so I'm behind the game. Fucking, this is where I need to be. Fucking hey, man.
But we were talking about this the other day about you know, talking to other people within art, but not necessarily comics. You know, so there's other things as well where I've worked with rock groups, to do different things, maybe backdrops or stuff for their programs and things like that. So there's always something that I'm kind of playing around with.
Who is the one character that you would love the chance to draw?
Before now, I would have said Swamp Thing.
You motherfucker. You're like, I love Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing's the best. I always want to draw Swamp Thing. Fucking, which I'm sure is the truth, but I'm just saying,
It is. It is. But I love to do a long run on Batman. I think Batman's one of those characters that everybody wants to get a crack at.
Yeah.
But really to do it in a kind of detective kind of style,
Yes.
You're
my
hero. And Dead Man as well. I think
yes.
Dead Man would be pretty sweet.
You never hear people say they want to do Dead Man anymore, which I don't understand why. He's such an amazing fucking character.
Well, I mean, my Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad are kind of playing with him in Wonder Woman at the moment.
Are they?
And that's pretty interesting. I've got this whole concept for a Dead Man series. I've spoken to Jeff Lemire about it and everything. So maybe one day.
You know how you have these partner up like runs, like Jason Todd and Arsenal and those sort of things. But I'd love to see a Batman and Dead Man just run of just Dead Man pissing off Batman for like 8 comic books straight, just like, he just annoy the shit out of him, because obviously there's that Justice League Dark movie with Constantine and stuff, and you've got like Batman running around and he's just like because he can't understand the logic behind magic, and it pisses him off, and I love that. Just Dead Man rocking up with Batman.
Justice League Dark had Etrigan in it though, which like is my Jason Blood is just so great. It's fucking Gone, The Rise of Man, Come the Demon, Etrigan. Oh, it's so good. We're so nerdy.
Definitely Constantine as well. I'd like to have a crack at Constantine.
Which I love that Keanu Reeves movie, and Alex hates that Keanu Reeves movie.
No. It's a good movie. I watched it recently, and I put it visually. It is stunning, and I loved it. I love it for what it is, but hate it.
He's talking about a sequel, American. Right?
They've been talking about a sequel forever, but then again, they're putting out The Matrix in this week, so I guess they can. I don't know. I don't put anything past Keanu Reeves anymore. He'd be like, so I'm going to resurrect the dead. And I'll be like, sure, why not? You do it, Keanu Reeves.
I can imagine him going, oh, yeah, I've got a film idea where I'm on a bus. And they're like,
Speed? No. It's called slow. If you go above 5 miles an hour, the bus blows up. And he's
got to get to school on time to drop the kids off.
It's all about him dropping kids off. This dude, that'd be fucking bonkers.
That's the Saturday Night Live sketch straight away. There you go. Fuck Andy Samberg. We're the new writers for comedy for Saturday Night Live. There we go.
Excellent.
God, I love it so much. This has been a good fucking time, man. We haven't done this in a long time, Mike. We took a couple months off for holidays and to kind of like, kind of refuel our engines and stuff. We fell right back into this. This was amazing. I got to say, and what an amazing first guest back, dude. I am so thrilled that you met Alex. I'm so thrilled that you came on today. You are a fucking ball of lightning, my good sir, and I appreciate you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Well, what we'll do then, Mike, is I'll give you an opportunity to tell people where they can sort of follow you if they want to buy commissions off you, where they can do that, etc.
Yeah, well, basically you just go to my site, which is mikeperkinsart.com, and from there there's a contact link. There's a link to my art dealer. There's a link to my commission stuff. There's a whole bunch of things. I'm also on Facebook as well, but that's mostly for promoting my work, really.
If anybody wants to buy me a Christmas present, this on canvas would absolutely.
that one is that's mine. That's not going anywhere.
I love that so much. I mean, I like the cover as well.
The Lois covers, they were great because they were all kind of design oriented in a way, rather than your typical superhero kind of beat 'em up. And there was one where, let me see if I can find it. There was one where you got Lois there. Was it the 3rd issue? And behind her is the freedom of the press speech. The kind of this one, right? So you got the freedom of the press thing behind her, and the question over here, and so there were certain aspects of there, and I got this thing from the editor saying, you'll have to redo the cover, because there's some misspellings like that. Determined. Where am I? Yeah. There's some misspellings on there. You're gonna have to redo the whole thing. And I was kind of like, you're missing the whole point. It's Lois Lane. She's so bad at spelling. But it's just like, that's the whole point of the cover.
I love it.
Yeah.
You're muted, Tom. No, still muted.
And yeah, stuff like that.
There you go.
I love doing that one. That was great.
Oh, yes. Truth. Why are you muted, Tom? What have you done?
I'm not. I wasn't.
He was just miming. It was a mime.
Yeah.
I was. It was very. It was. It's like Circus Soleil. I'm
impressive.
sitting there having a conversation via hands and stuff. It was very. You didn't get the concept. Oh, well.
And that's a really important thing. I'm glad you heard that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, totally. What I was saying is sometimes people can miss the most simplest of concepts, like hand talking, or making Lois Lane the worst speller in the world, but she's the most brilliant journalist. My God.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of some of the other ones, but
I was looking at your webpage as we were talking, and there's a lot of amazing art on there. Just not gonna lie, guys. If you're looking for some, I like your style, especially because sometimes comic books can get a little comic booky,
right?
And I like that good crossbreed between like realism and the comic. And you do it very, very well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, of course. I'm looking at this Swamp Thing Statue of Liberty, and she's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that like kind of like a play on
covers which just come into your head, and you're just like, man, I gotta get that on the page.
But I think that's what draws me to this is that looks more like something from Gotham. That breathes Gotham to me, and me being such a Batman fan, and then seeing the Superman, the Lois Lane, and knowing that you've done it, there you go.
There was that whole comic book arc where Swamp Thing went to Gotham because they had Swamp Thing's girl.
Yes.
That was a great storyline. Was that kind of? I have that run. I love that because they start saying how they got to arrest her because she's been banging Swamp Thing, and Batman's like, listen, if you're gonna do that, you got to arrest X, Y, and Z. And by the way, you're forgetting about Superman. Like, oh, never mind, sorry, we forgot. We didn't mean what we said right there. Don't arrest him.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining us today, and you're welcome back on the show anytime. And we're going to be working out. I've got commission money for cameras and stuff that we'll be bringing in soon. So if we ever wanted to meet up and do it like in person whilst we have Tom on the screen, and we could do some live draws, maybe bring in an audience. I've got the sky's the limit with what we're doing at USUK at the moment. So there's lots of potential there.
Excellent.
So you're welcome back anytime.
I draw great boobs, so if you want me to join on, I'll draw those.
He doesn't. You know the Haribo eggs. That's what they look like. I'm just saying, like
they're beautiful. They're my art. Leave me alone, Alex.
Right, guys, welcome back to USUK. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're not going to do the later lounge anymore. This is simply what it is. USUK is as USUK does. It's just chatter. We're not going to confuse you with this is this and this is that. This has been an amazing interview, and I'm genuinely glad to be back. Make sure you check out our website, which is USUKnetwork.com. And all of our content is available on there. I've got to do a bit of tinkering around because we've got to get rid of all the old stuff and make it all just streamlined USUK. And that's made for us by our friends at Web Orchard. If you need a website, go to Web Orchard and they will make you an amazing website that looks just like ours. If you know somebody that wants to come on the show, if you want us to try and get somebody on the show, please write to us. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. Don't be a pleb. You know how to get hold of us, right? And get in touch with us, and we'll try and make it happen. Tom, have you got anything to add before we get out of here?
Nothing. I missed this so much, and I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad all of you stuck around while we went on hiatus, and I'm glad for Mr. Mike Perkins over here. This has been a fantastic fucking episode. This is USUK, and I am Tom Bruno.
I'm Alex Whiteley. And thank you very much to our guest, Mike Perkins. And we'll catch you guys next time. Stick around, Mike. We'll have a chat before we get out of here, but we'll catch you guys next week. Peace out.
All right, listen up, Spuds. This is Zach Brannigan, master of time, space, and everything else in between. And, winner of this year's Modesty Award. You're listening to USUK with Al and Tom. Your one stop for this sort of thing.